Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast we talk about parenting issues, but once a week Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. So this week we're going to discuss the second episode of The West Wing, season 4. It's called 20 Hours in America, Part 2. We are also going to talk about a book, A Visit from the Goon Squad for our challenge round.
Yeah.
But first, last night was movie night on Dancing with the Stars. So we had not specific movies, not specific songs from movies, but just movie genres.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. Like, I never would have thought of sports as a movie genre. But we got a hockey-themed paso doble.
Yes.
Inspired by hockey movies.
I guess The Mighty Ducks.
The Mighty Ducks. So, it was cute. Actually, I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah. I thought that the theme worked better in some cases than in others. I think that Frankie drew the short straw with animation. And
yeah, that
looked more like a video game to me than a cartoon, but I don't watch a lot of animation. And I don't know what the heck kind of Western that was supposed to be. Post-apocalyptic Western, I guess.
Yeah, it was
with Nick
very,
and Peter, but
like steampunky, maybe Westworld, which I don't watch.
That's true. I don't watch that either.
Which is a TV show, P.S.
Yeah. That was unfortunate because he was already teetering on the brink. And that was just a bad from conception to delivery, I thought.
Yeah, he did not look good.
That was too bad. The rest of them, I thought, certainly Mark wins the prize for incorporating the theme into your dance to the greatest degree. That was something. It freaked my daughter out. She had to leave. But it's like...
Yeah, you couldn't recognize Lindsay at all with the hair and makeup and the 2 different colored contact lenses. And that was wacky.
Yeah, it was good and it was unsettling. And I couldn't quite decide which I thought it was more. As usual, I think I like Jordan's dance the best because that was just really pretty to watch.
Yes.
And it was, in the truest tradition of Dancing with the Stars, a Rhumba for a dead person, but still, it was pretty to watch.
Yes, it was very pretty.
The lyrics, you don't want to listen to the lyrics too much, but it was nice. And I had no idea what Len was talking about, but apparently it led to people very funnily flourishing their hands at him, which I didn't notice.
Yes.
So I liked that, but I can appreciate what Mark and Lindsay did. That was ambitious and embracing of the theme to the fullest extent, and while still including lots of dance elements. So the Argentine tango
that looked good.
Yeah. Always looks weird to me with all the picking up the woman and having her wrap her legs in different directions and stuff. That always looks kind of, what are they doing? But in this, it worked a little bit more than... But on a very plain and basic level, I thought Nikki looked really good. I thought her and Artem's dance was nice. And whether it was his real hair dyed brown or a hairpiece, which I strongly suspect, Artem looked good with normal hair. Guy, look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is what a grown-up looks like.
Keep it that way.
The good wig work this week, because I thought Emma looked fabulous in her little black thing, although that looks like something you could get at the Five and Dime.
Yeah, and even Whitney's pink was okay versus Frankie's horrible blue thing.
What was that he had on his head? It was
I bought a couple years ago or maybe it was only a year ago, a costume of Joy from Inside Out with blue hair and a yellow dress. Yeah. And so we still have the blue wig and it looks remarkably like the one that Frankie was wearing.
So somebody went down to the party store.
Yeah, said, I think I paid like $20 for the whole thing. It's like, the fabric that is going to like burst into flames at any moment.
Right. It does look like that kind of wig, actually. It was not a good week for him in many ways, but I'm not worried about him.
Yeah.
What did you think about, I keep calling him Terrell, but I now have heard it enough times, Terrell's, rhyme with Cheryl, Terrell's dance.
I thought it was fun, and he looked good.
It was one of those things where I think the theme got in the way because his jive was awesome.
Yeah.
He was dancing great, and then it was like, stop, do something for the theme, dance, stop, do something for the theme. And it's just like every time they stop, it's like, no, keep jiving. Who cares about the theme?
Yeah, because I really like watching jives and
and he was with those long legs and everything. He was really doing well. It's interesting to see these dances and how the choreographers deal with them and maybe what people's strengths and weaknesses are, because it should never be stop, do the theme, and then go back to dancing. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. There had to have been a better way to do that.
Right.
And especially in that one, because you had the doors and stuff. And,
it was like a whole big set.
It was entertaining to watch, but in terms of this is a dancing show and it's supposed to be a dance, I feel like he kind of lost the danciness of it.
Yeah.
So that was too bad, because his dancing, I was the most I've enjoyed watching him dance, I think. And that the package that he had was adorable, where he was, dressing up as a brick wall and it was the CGI
a potted plant
green thing. That was really cute and shows he has a sense of humor about himself, which has not necessarily always been apparent. So he's getting much goofier and more relaxed and fun as the show goes on. It's just
good.
Wondering how much the early unpleasantness may have damaged people's eagerness to vote for him. Mm-hmm. So, and Drew, I am still voting for, though this was not his best dance either. And I also felt like he was maybe going to pull Emma's arm out of her socket a couple of times there, which, it's an adventure thing. So maybe that's appropriate.
Yeah. I mean, I thought all the martial arts stuff was fun and looked good, but that's not the dance.
Again, it was one of those things where it was a fun adventure skit that had some dancing in it rather than a dance with an adventure theme. Mm-hmm. So that's too bad. But it was an off week, I think, for Drew and Frankie, but I have hopes for them. I was glad that they were both declared safe at the beginning, even though, boy, do I hate that thing of announcing it during the show, especially right before somebody's going to dance. That's not right. Don't do that. But it was...
And I feel like it emphasizes that, you're doing a dance and it doesn't really matter how you do it.
Yeah, that's right. Because if you're out, you're already out.
Yeah. If you're out, you're already out. And if you're in, we're going to forget. I don't know. It just, it's like you said, they need to have the results show, because otherwise everything is off kilter.
I really miss that. And I know it's not a thing that can ever happen on the network again, except maybe once or twice a year, a season. But I really wish they'd find some way to bring it back in some alternative form.
Yeah.
Do it in the middle of a soap opera in the middle of the day. Ask ABC for 5 minutes during... do they still have soap operas?
Sure.
5 minutes during Jeopardy, or what? It's like something. Throw us a bone. Or online. I do think online is the way to go with it.
Right.
But,
it would make a lot more sense.
Doing it during the show does not work. And then at the end, they had 1 minute to announce who's gone. Bye.
Right, and you kept hearing Tom be like, okay, go, hurry up, over there, this way, because he was like, we have no time.
Well,
he was stressed out.
Yeah, it was short on time, but it was worth it to add the piercing insights of Shania Twain. That was time well spent.
Right.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. And her song, which I fast-forwarded through.
Yeah, gather up all that time and give it to the people at the end. Seriously? I mean, I guess this is the cost of doing business, is that we're going to promote people, but nothing of her was enjoyable. And, it's like, I saw people online were saying various reasons for her being less than flowingly articulate when she was speaking, but then don't take a judging gig. If you still sing well, sing. There's nothing that requires you to be sitting at a table talking. And over the course of however many dances that was a lot of time that was devoted to...
Yeah, when you have 4 judges, that's...
the halting opinions of somebody who does not know anything about dance.
Right.
That was unfortunate because I like her. I mean, I have nothing against Shania Twain. It's just, why is she there? And what does she add to the judging? It was too bad, I think.
Yeah.
I really hate the bum's rush that the losers get at the end, although maybe they appreciate not having to be interviewed and act like they feel okay about it.
Right. Well, and I've definitely felt like in Nick's package, it sounded like he was pretty confident that he would be going
Yeah,
home.
I think he's over it, and now he gets to just be, like he said, he gets to be with his kids and rooting on his wife, who I think probably he will not have to root on too very much longer. So this was a failed experiment.
Don't say play dad. You are their dad.
That's right.
Like, come on, man. All right. Well, we will move on next week to Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween night on Dancing with the Stars is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of your favorites. So we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
And now we're going to move on to The West Wing. Season 4, the second half of the season opener, 20 Hours in America, which was just fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it's such a great, as you said to me, in one of our chats, just so many payoffs and callbacks between the second half and the first half. So unexpectedly, the way that they came back. Toby's losing the bet where he has to say that he works in the White House, and the way he ends up having to say it at the end to the bar, and I mean,
stuff. Josh waves him off that he doesn't have to say it, but this is the one time where you want to say it.
Right.
It makes a difference to say it. And because I didn't care, I got tired of the joke a little bit, and then to have it pay off in that way just makes it retroactively more wonderful. Exactly. When I finished watching it, I was thinking, I was almost going to type to you right then, there's so many great payoffs. And then I turned on the West Wing Weekly podcast and they went, there were so many great payoffs. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
So this isn't an original thing. Everybody's noticed this. But it was very nice. It was very nicely done, and really probably would benefit from being watched at the same time, the two pieces. Yeah. Just because there are these through lines, that you see the different interviews with the secretaries, and then that great second interview with Debbie, where it's everything that he's wanted, joking around and remembering things and loyalty and all of that. And it's just, that was very nice. And
he got to use his powers of deductive reasoning. To figure out the whole scheme. Yes. And what had happened with Charlie. And
rather like that bit a few episodes ago where Charlie's trying to figure out the photograph and somebody just happens to be there that explains it.
Right.
The presence of the guy in the waiting area there to help him put two and two together was contrived, but I'll take it. It was wonderful. It was, I love the way that all played out. That was great.
Yes.
So she will be a new cast member now, and enjoyable in that part.
Yes. And, so Lily Tomlin as Debbie Fitter.
Yes.
Finally hired.
The president has a new secretary, and
after a year,
different than Mrs. Landingham, but still enjoyable.
Yes.
One thing they did not mention on the podcast that I love every time I see this is the stuff is actually funny stuff in the sit room, which should not be, but Nancy McNally has just had it.
Yes.
She starts out with Yeoman Fitzwallace and then Admiral Sissy Mary, and she just wants to drop a bomb on all of them, and just that makes me laugh. She does so great with that part.
Best.
We don't see her nearly enough.
Yeah.
And the chemistry between her and John Amos just is so cute that you just can read a whole history between the two of them in the way he just smiles and nods.
And Leo, the three of them. There's such a
the three of them.
Team.
It's really enjoyable. It shouldn't be. I mean, the scenes in the sit room, you expect them to be tense. So anything that like punctures that, I really enjoy. And that was great. I really enjoyed that. And then how it, at the end, they're willing to sacrifice themselves to keep the president out of it, and he's not going to do that. This whole plot line, this whole Sharif plot line is not one of my favorites in the history of West Wing. But there are nice moments.
Right. And that's one of them.
Yes. And Sam making it through his befuddling day.
And being rewarded with Mallory taking him. I'm going to get you home,
yeah.
she says at the end.
Yeah, Mallory. Remember her? Remember when she was a thing on this show? It's like
that was like 3 seasons. I mean, was she on at all in like season 2 or 3?
I don't think she's been around. Well, she was, I think the last time we saw her was maybe the one where, with the NASA thing, where they have the NASA hookup and the president's going to talk to all the kids and then it goes out and then they decide to do something inspirational anyway. There's at the opera, Chinese opera. No, it's not Chinese. Yeah. Finnish opera or something.
I remember when they went
and
to
they
the
talk
opera,
out
yes.
by the car. It's all this money for this instead of education. And then she says, I just like to hear you argue things. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the last time we saw her because I know they were talking about her hockey player boyfriend then. And
yeah, see, I forgot about him. Yeah. I forgot that whole
Yeah, I remembered it, and that makes it so much funnier when Sam is, because Sam was needling him then too.
Battery.
Yeah, exactly. I remember he was devaluing the guy then also. So yes, That was very cute. And his even on no sleep and having written a tremendous inspirational speech, Sam can still get off the zingers. Yes, he's still got it. He can still diss her boyfriend.
Yes.
Or ex-boyfriend or husband. I'm not sure what he was exactly.
Find out that her boyfriend is no more.
That's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear it. That's very cute. I wish, I don't know what the story is as to why that particular love interest never developed. I don't feel like Allison Smith was that busy, but maybe she just had other things she was doing and was not that available. I don't know. But they play off each other very nicely. Mm-hmm. And whenever I see them again, I go, yeah, why wasn't there more of this?
Well, first they were trying to make Ainsley happen.
Yeah, and then she got a series, so that went away. And the call girl, we never see the call girl anymore.
Right.
She went off to be a lawyer, apparently.
Be a lawyer. That was a
Poor
season
Sam.
1 thing only.
Sam is not allowed to have a love life. Well, Sam can go off and have one pretty soon now.
Pretty soon on
we will imagine.
Show.
Off into the sunset he goes with somebody. But it was a very enjoyable episode. And a nice episode I enjoyed the West Wing Weekly episode where they talked with the director.
Yeah.
Who I enjoyed. It seems like he and Joshua Molina are actually friends because they had a very chummy way. And it was Christopher Miziano, right?
Yes.
He seemed just really happy to be on the podcast and, excited to be talking about it. So that's always nice.
And interesting that he didn't have a ton of experience when he started working on the West Wing. And that's like no easy directorial task,
But it was amusing when he said he had seen all these great crane shots and all this fancy stuff, and then his first episode was Mr. Willis of Ohio, which is basically a poker game and a meeting room. So they eased him into the pool.
Yeah. They didn't start him with a giant walk and talk or something.
Yeah. But it's always interesting to see how people come to this sort of thing. I don't know if you ever listened to the Writers Panel podcast.
Once in a while.
Yeah, I listen to that a lot. And it's people there have stories also of how they happen to, get into a writer's room for the first time and how then they got, they moved up and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just, you did a thing that somebody saw or somebody knows somebody who knows somebody or you worked for this guy and then he went to this show. And it's always, it's...
Which is pretty much what happened with Miziano because he worked on ER.
Right.
That seemed to get him in the door.
Yeah. that would be a pretty challenging one to shoot.
Absolutely.
In a different way. You know, West Wing, you're more likely to be following one person with the camera, whereas West of ER, there's just stuff going on all over the place that you have to capture going from one thing to another.
People are always like busting through doors. And
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, ER.
That was such a good show.
It was a very good show. It was a long time ago, though.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I read histories of TV and this is like something from the dim past, and it's like, I remember ER. I was an adult when ER was on. It wasn't that long ago. It really was that long ago. And then St. Elsewhere before that. Oh my gosh, back into
see, that one was kind of before my time.
Was that before your time?
Well, I mean, I think it was like maybe high school, so
yeah.
I was just busy.
That's a good show, though. Yeah, I guess I was in high school when Hill Street Blues was on.
Yeah, that's
ages. These are the things we read in Alan Sepinwall's books as the precursors to all the wonderful TV that I'm not getting a chance to watch now.
Well,
I'm old school, man.
We'll get back to that after our challenge round, shall we? Shall we move to that?
Yeah, I guess. Other than just to say, the season openers of West Wing have always been pretty good. My heart is still with that first season one where the president is shot and then we get the flashbacks. But I don't think about this one so much. I mean, I certainly remember, Two Cathedrals as the end of season 2, and then unfortunately, there was the break before the beginning of season. I remember like the first 3 seasons, and I forget about this. Well, 20 Hours in America, that's where Toby and Josh and Donna get lost and miss the motorcade. And watching it again was like, oh, wow, it's the episode where this happens and this other thing happens, and this is really good.
And it's so good.
So it's like if you were a West Wing fan and you have sort of forgotten that the season opener of season 4 rocked, go take a look at it.
Go
watch them both
again
at the same time and appreciate the script cleverness of taking things that are light comic relief in the first hour and making them resonate in the second hour. Mm-hmm. It's really something, Aaron Sorkin knows what he's doing.
Right, it's impressive.
He's quite a good writer, as it happens. So enjoy it.
Aaron Sorkin, he's a good.
Enjoy it while we can. It is a not unending supply. By the end of this season, we will be not so happy about that, but savor this last season, Catherine.
That's right. I will.
Savor it.
Yes.
All right, so challenge round.
It was my turn because we did that two Terri challenges in a row.
We did that partially so I would have time to read a book, but did I read a book? Did I start it that week when I had the extra week?
Mm-mm. But you did actually finish the book, which is A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan.
Yes.
And you got through it, and I'm so happy that you did. And tell me what you think. I chose this because I had read it recently for my book club and really enjoyed it. And I thought you might like it too with all of its musical references and, New York centric setting.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
I did not so much read it as I listened to it. I had a free book on Audible, and I thought I will try listening to a book on tape. I've done it before, but I'll be cheap. I won't buy it for my phone to read on my phone. I'll listen to it. And I did. That's probably why I was able to finish it, is because I listened to it, and I could listen to it while I was doing other things, including that Sandbox app, which you told us about the other day, which I've done quite a lot of, more than I should have time to. But anyway, it was very relaxing to listen to that way. However, with this particular book, it was an unfortunate choice because I would have liked to have been flipping back, because there's all these recurring characters, all these shifts in time, and you hear about something. I was hearing about something and going, oh, didn't they mention that earlier? What did that character say? And there's no way to flip back unless you just want to go and listen to the whole thing again. I did go online and search for, characters in that book, and I could see, they mention, okay, this person does this in chapter 1, and then they mention it again in chapter 4, but it really was way more disjointed than I think it would have been if I had been reading it. I even went to Barnes & Noble with my friend, and I found it on the shelves, and I was like flipping through, what did I want to check? What did I want to check?
Right.
So it really seemed more, and this may just have been because I listened to it rather than read it, it seemed more like a collection of short stories that happened to share some of the same characters.
Yes,
rather than a novel. It doesn't have a through line, particularly.
Right. I felt that way too reading it on paper, so that wasn't necessarily from the audiobook. Good stories, for sure.
Yes. Not that that's a bad thing, and I enjoyed it, and I appreciated it the way that events recurred, and characters recurred, and you saw things from different points of view, and it's like, oh yeah, remember this character who was just incidental here? This is their story.
Right.
So it works for me as a collection of short stories. It does not necessarily work for me as a novel, but who cares? It was enjoyable reading.
Right. And a lot of the pieces were published first as short stories.
Were they? That makes a lot of sense.
Put together. But yeah, there were just some great moments in the book, and there's some parts where she'll just tell you like the rest of the life story of a person.
Yes.
In like a paragraph.
And I should have written down who that was, because I feel like some of those people, we saw them later.
We did.
And it was like, was this the person she said did these things in her life? I think I heard something about this, but I can't remember who all was on that bus in the safari. I feel like there were people on that bus that we heard from later, but I couldn't go back to see what their names are.
Yeah, well, one was
the guy who got mauled by the tiger. Was he somebody that we saw later? Was that
don't think so, but it was the music producer guy who was, in the older man who had
Lou.
Lou picked up the hitchhiker earlier, and his son, and you heard about his son later. But there was one like just aside, really, where he was like, and then this African chief's grandson would grow up to, live in New York, and
I think he's married to somebody at the end.
Yeah,
I think is it Lulu?
I think so. I forget now.
Yeah, see, that's
but he
why
definitely
these are the
comes
things,
back.
It's like they're not essential to appreciating the stories, but it like rings a bell that I couldn't go back and check. So I have to go look at the maps of the characters. There are maps of characters from that book online.
Ah, okay.
And I will have to go through and trace all those. I did it a little bit when I was partway through the book, and then more things came up. But
so there's a piece in the book that's a PowerPoint presentation. So how do they read that?
She did it in the little girl's voice, which was jarring right away, because most of it, the reader had a very sort of laid back, flat tone, which at first I thought, this is going to put me to sleep. Right. But as it went on, it sort of was appropriate to the whole, the plot and the ideas behind it and stuff like that. I got used to it, and it sort of worked. Okay. But for that, all of a sudden, she comes on with this voice like this. And I'm like, what the heck? And then what they did was they did like a slide, like an old-fashioned slideshow sound in between. Okay. Like you're going to the next slide. And I knew, because you had told me that it's like a PowerPoint in the book.
It is, yes.
And I'm like, this is a little anachronistic. This girl isn't making slides. But I guess it was to give you the idea that these were individual panels, and she would read them all. I really loved that story because, of course, the autistic kid with the silences and the music.
Yes.
I have my key boy, so I can relate to the fixating on something specific about a larger
and the way that the young girl, the sister, interpreted, here's what my brother said, here's what he was trying to communicate, here's what my dad heard. Like, it was just kind of heartbreaking,
That was really interesting and really well done. And I have to now go on Google and see how autistic people felt about it.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll either praise or they'll say, but I mean, I liked it that it was the sister that had the connection with it, and it wasn't like the mom, even though the mom, Sasha understood more about it than her husband did. Mm-hmm. It was mostly the girl that was kind of championing him, and he was also the Lincoln was quite able to speak up for himself also.
Yes,
although in this oblique way.
Yes, but I did really enjoy how the relationship between the two siblings, I guess.
Right. Were they ever mentioned? Was Allison ever mentioned anywhere else? I felt like I knew that name when they said it.
Is that the daughter's name?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just that she was Sasha, just certainly we had heard from Sasha before.
Yeah. Is Sasha like the most frequently have the most stories about her?
I
she
think
seemed to come up the most.
Yeah.
Benny certainly was there a lot also.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting the way they did it. But I felt like it was sort of her, she was on the periphery of pretty much everything. And then she had like 3 or 4 stories that were about her.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that first story with the stealing things. And the way she described that.
Yes.
And that was very good. So then I got to the end of that, and then it goes off in a completely different direction.
Right.
And it's like not until 3... Was the next story... I forget. But later on when Benny is doing something, he has his assistant, Sasha. It took me a while to realize, oh my gosh, that's the girl from the first story. Mm-hmm. And she talked about her boss. Let me flip back. Oh, crud, I can't flip do that. Back.
Rewind.
They need a little device in which you could type in a name and go back to find it. Mm-hmm. Or a little pop-up. They need pop-ups on audiobooks. Does this name sound familiar? She did this and this and that.
Here's where you can find her earlier. Yeah.
The other one that was somewhat of a challenge with an audiobook besides the PowerPoint was the interview with the actress by the guy who winds up assaulting her and going to jail.
Right.
Many, many footnotes.
Yes, true. Yeah.
I had a strong urge to fast forward through that because it was really unpleasant, and the voice she was using for him was really unpleasant, and
Yeah, that whole episode was disturbing.
Yeah, it was. And so listening to it instead of being able to just read over it kind of quickly. Right. Have to listen to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So pluses and minuses to audiobooks, I guess. Yes. I also don't feel like I grasped the title of the stories very well because it went by quickly on audiobook, whereas if you're reading it on something, you're probably seeing it at the top of every page.
Right.
So that was, I don't know. It was certainly effective to get something read, is to be able to listen to it. Mm-hmm. But in terms of holding on to things and following them through, it probably would be fine for books that have much more of a clear through line. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this was definitely...
But I enjoyed it.
Definitely a complicated structure. So
yeah, a bit of a challenge.
Well, I'm glad you got through it, and
I am too. And I'm thinking about it. It's one of those things that's stuck in my head. I keep remembering different things and saying, "Oh, that's right, that's over."
Right.
It'll be interesting to see if it gets made into something.
Yeah.
It seems like the kind of thing somebody would pick up.
Yes.
And make a movie of.
Right.
And so now when you discuss this with your book club. Mm-hmm. What were some of the important themes that you discussed? The Goon Squad was like time or age, right?
Yes. We talked about that. We talked a lot about that scene with the interview and, how, like, why did he do that? And also the ending, where it's like slightly in the future and everybody has their device and communicates, and how chilling that was.
I feel like that. How old is Jennifer Egan?
I think she's probably 40s.
Yeah, that sounds to me like the sort of thing that older people say. Mm-hmm. This is what it's going to be like. Nobody's going to communicate. The kids are going to be on it when they're tiny tots.
But, I mean, it was written
like fun, actually.
8 years ago or something. Yeah. So it felt creepily prescient to me.
I guess.
So
I have trouble feeling upset about that sort of thing.
I mean,
sort of awesome that his baby knew how to use the thing without actually having any
Right.
Kids are smarter in the future, apparently.
Yeah. Pointers or whatever they call it. They had a name for.
And actually, you know, the younger characters in this, aside from Rolf, who I guess killed himself, the younger characters seem to have it a little more together. You know, Lulu seems pretty awesome.
Yes. She's
probably not going to be hanging hot oil from the ceiling. She seems like she's got it together.
That we talked about this in book club too, that whole part where the mother's like, her mother's going to go meet with this horrible dictator and she brings her kid. Like, let me take my 9-year-old with me. Like, great idea.
Washed up, frightened rocker does not scare Lulu. It's like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Come with me.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, certainly Sasha's 2 kids Allison, her daughter, seems to be pretty together. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, seems kind of hopeful, actually.
Yeah.
But the adults are a mess.
Right. Well, good. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And that now I get to give you another challenge because we did 2 Terri challenges and now we're going to do 2 from me. So, so many of the podcasts I listen to, and not including some that are not entertainment podcasts, have been talking about The Good Place, which is a sitcom that started last year and, you know, obviously is renewed and is in its 2nd season now. And there's some pretty big twists and spoilers in it, and I've heard them already from all these aforementioned podcasts. I have too. But I was like, I have got to watch this after all, you know, after hearing so much about it. So I did. Right. I did watch the first couple episodes, and I am going to encourage you to watch them too for the challenge round, and you can get there on Netflix.
Okay, so this is the first couple of episodes of the first
season. Yeah.
I may have at some point watched one of them, maybe the pilot. I'm not sure, or maybe I just read about it. I read recaps of stuff rather than watching it. So
I mean
that may be. I feel like I've seen a little something, but I may just have heard.
Right. I mean, definitely people have been talking about it. It stars Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, and is it the showrunner Michael Schur who from Parks and Rec. So, you know, it has things going for it that I think you will like. So we will watch
So the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, the first 2 of The Good Place.
Alrighty.
Season 1. So
that sounds like a good idea.
Yes. So next week we'll watch that, plus, of course, Dancing with the Stars. And the next West Wing episode is called College Kids.
Okay.
And that is going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terri.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.